Hey, I'm Labi. Besides being a professional guitar player, I've been teaching guitar for almost 20 years now. I teach private lessons at universities, colleges, master classes, and recently online. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 tips of how to brand yourself as a music teacher, target your students, and make your teaching more effective, more professional, and most of all, more fun. Tip number 1. This is how much time you have to teach. Now, this really depends on your goals. If you're looking to be a session player or a touring musician, then set aside a specific amount of time that you can commit to teach. Meaning, don't go and fill up your whole week with lessons, and then if a session comes in, you have to cancel this lesson, or cancel a whole day, or if you're going on a tour, you're going to be gone for 3 months. People want a teacher they can grow with. So if you're not going to be around, that's going to hurt your reputation as not being an available teacher. Tip number 2, decide where you want to teach. There are a few options. You can either do private lessons at home, you can work for music schools, and depending on your qualifications, you can work for universities, colleges, or conservatories. Now, there's pros and cons for each style of teaching. Let's start with private teaching. Let's look at the pros and cons of private lessons. Private lessons are by far the most flexible. You get to decide the days you want to teach, the amount of hours you want to teach. You can choose the students that you want to teach, and you can choose the styles that you want to teach. By far the most flexible form of teaching, it allows you also to work with other streams of music that you're doing. If you have to arrange your teaching around rehearsals, it's a lot easier. The cons in private lessons are they're inconsistent. Sometimes you'll have student canceling at the last minute. Sometimes they decide they don't want lessons for the summer. Another form of teaching is teaching in music schools or conservatories. Let's look at the pros and cons of teaching in those schools. The first advantage of teaching in a music school is you don't have to bring the students. The minute you sign up to be a teacher at a music school, they provide you with a list of students who have registered for guitar lessons. The second advantage is you don't have to deal with the whole payment process. All the money issues go through the school. You just come as a teacher and do your job. Another great thing about music schools is some of them have curriculums, meaning they have set lessons that you have to teach each week, and you don't have to come up with a new lesson every week. So if you're teaching certain classes like ear training or harmony and theory, you have set lessons that you can go every week and just follow the curriculum. Let's look at some of the cons of working at a music school. The first one is that you're not as flexible as private lessons. The minute you sign up for a university or a college or a music school, you're committing to be a part of the faculty. So you have certain days which you've committed to a whole term or a whole academic year that you have to teach. Another thing, another con for working in the music school is you can't decide who you want to teach. You have certain students who register to you. Some of them may not be at the level that you want to teach. Tip number 3, target your students. Now I'm going to break this into 3 elements. The first of it is going to be age, the second is going to be level, and the third one style. Now when we're talking about the age of our students, you have to decide what's the age of the students that you want to teach. I prefer to start with students around the age of 9 because I think their hands are physically more stronger and they're able to hold a guitar, and they're more mature, so they can sit through half an hour, 45-minute lesson and really engage in the lesson. Some teachers start teaching students pretty much from the age of 4 to 5. Now you have to be very patient, and it's a whole different teaching strategy to teaching kids at the age of 5 as opposed to teenagers. So you have to ask yourself, do you have the patience, do you have the connection with younger kids to be able to teach them guitar in an effective, fun way? So when you're deciding on your student's age, what's your limit, it's really important to ask yourself if you have these skills, if you have the patience, and if you have the passion to teach younger kids or teenagers or adults. Each of them has a different teaching strategy. So, rather than jumping in saying, I'll teach anyone just, because it's fun and for the money, think hard. Sometimes, you end up teaching kids and you just don't know where to go. The next thing is the level of music that you want to teach, or the level of guitar. You can choose between beginners, intermediates, advanced, and specialists. Now, depending on your qualifications and your experience, that's also a way to kind of decide what level you want to teach. I think everyone can teach beginners. Some people just don't want to teach beginners after a few years. they just don't have the patience. Some players just decide they want to teach advanced players. They don't have that many hours that they have to teach, and they just want to focus on advanced students rather than going back to basics and teaching, the A chord and the D chord. Everyone has their own, passion in what they want to teach. One thing about choosing the level of the students that you want to teach is if you're, depending on your qualifications and your experience, if you choose an advanced student who might be better than you, it might be a bit awkward that after 2-3 lessons you have nothing to teach, and he'll end up going, to another teacher and kind of hurting your reputation, saying, well, he says he's an advanced player, but he doesn't teach as well as he should. The last segment of tip number 3 is going to be style. Now, again, depending on what kind of guitar player or musician you are, that depends on what kind of music you're going to teach. Just one pointer. I don't really listen to that much country music. I don't really play that much country music. Therefore, I don't teach country guitar. If someone said, "Hey, can you play this song?" I could learn it. I could teach one song, but I don't see myself as a country player. I decide to focus on styles that I'm more proficient at. You might get some student who wants to study guitar. If you don't have a bunch of lessons and a bunch of songs prepared, it can be awkward when all you know is just a few licks and 2 country songs. So I really advise knowing the style, knowing the vocabulary, and knowing the catalog of music, whether it be contemporary country, if we're talking about country, contemporary country, and old school country. I think that way you'll be a better teacher, and you'll be seen as a more professional teacher. So rather than just expanding into every style possible, really focus on what you play best and what you think you can teach best as well. So basically what we covered today was how much time do you have to teach, where do you want to teach, and targeting your students, and targeting yourself as a teacher at the age of the students, the level of the students, and the styles that you're willing to teach or that you want to teach. To make yourself a more effective and more efficient teacher. Teaching should be fun, so if you're teaching something you don't want to teach, the student's going to notice that, and it's just going to hurt both of you, him as a student and you as a professional teacher. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next video.